Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome to my channel. I decided I'd do another rant a bit on what's going on with the Nintendo's Creators Program. I am a member of that. I think it's a bad idea now. A few years ago I thought this was a step in the right direction if Nintendo was going to do more than what it started with, but they're not. So I'm not entirely happy with the program myself. But let's get to the basics, what's going on, and I'll try to explain my thoughts. First, let's get a few things out of the way. A lot of people are calling Nintendo a greedy company. I do not believe they are greedy. In fact, I would say they are one of the least greediest companies out there. And this is what I mean by that. Think about it this way. When have you bought a Nintendo game made by Nintendo, popped it into your console, had to wait a while for it to install, and then find out you're not going to play it that day because the game was not finished by the time it was put on the disc, and it's got to download the rest of the game file, which is huge, as well as a bunch of patches, and then while that is going on, you're actually figuring out, how much you can afford on the microtransactions so you can actually get anywhere in this game. Nintendo doesn't make those types of games. The rest of the AAA market does, but not Nintendo. So they do pretty good in that one area. So I wouldn't necessarily call them greedy. What they are, though, is very paranoid and still out of touch with their consumers. I've said this before and I will say it again. Nintendo spends most of its time trying to overprotect its IP than understanding why people like their IP and how they use it nowadays. They have, I think, a whole bunch of corporate people I can just imagine being fossils who have never heard the internet. I don't know if that's true, but I can just hear some of them probably tell me I'm wrong. They got the latest in the Betamax player or something, but that's just how I feel. They're a bunch of old guys from Kyoto, Japan, don't understand what the American market is like and what American social media is like, and it's to their detriment. Now, the Switch has become a success because the Switch is a good idea. However, it is still lacking in some of the powerhouse features that the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 offer. And one of the things a lot of gamers like to do to spend their time and the way they like to interact with their games and with other people through their games is through live streaming and through YouTube. It's how a lot of the younger kids especially get their news. It doesn't come from traditional sources like IGN or the newspapers or television ads. They get it by watching other people live stream the game, seeing if they're having fun with it, and then go pick it up themselves. Now, like I said, Nintendo's paranoid about their IP. Don't believe me? Go look up some of the interviews the creators of Wreck-It Ralph did when it came to actually dealing with Nintendo. And remember, these people were Disney. They weren't some small-time operation. They were one of the biggest media companies on Earth, wanting to just use Bowser in a scene, and just some of the trouble they had with them just getting Bowser in that one scene. They're very protective of their IP. So in a lot of ways, I'm pretty sure they're sitting down and going, you guys are the greedy ones for wanting to use our IP without paying us for it, since they consider it a value. And here's my thoughts on the whole thing, just to let you know. I do not consider live streaming to be fair use. I don't, guys. I think it's derivative works. From everything I've read about fair use, full Let's Plays and live streams are more often than not derivative works, not protected. That said, Nintendo goes after everyone, including people like me who do reviews. I think I do most of my stuff is covered under fair use. These vlogs aren't, but I always try to make sure I'm using footage from someone who's not going to come after me with a DMCA because I used it for a blog. But with that said, as I said before, a lot of people, youngsters, get their news from this, and Nintendo is just kind of blocking that information from a potential hardcore audience. The 15s, the tweens, and the new millennials, they're blocking getting their games out there and showing them that, and there is a lot of competition. They have the foot in the door with the Nintendo Switch, but you gotta figure out the social media quandary. Nintendo taking 40% of someone's profits on YouTube, that's fine. I'm a small YouTuber. I don't have the funds to fight you. But bigger YouTubers who have people knocking on their doors to cover their games ain't going to put up with your ass, and the millennials aren't going to hear what games you're making because of that. So you've still got that trouble. You've got to figure out social media. And I think I know how this is going to come to an end, and no, it's not Nintendo's going to get hurt necessarily or driven out of the business. I think it's going to come to an end exactly the way that the NES Mini kind of got rebooted. You're going to have a bunch of angry people working at NOA complaining to their parent company, along with a bunch of very pissed off investors who saw a bunch of money on the ground once they understand. And I think it will happen. Nintendo will one day start to bend a little bit more on this. I was kind of surprised they even did the creators program several years ago, but it's going to take them learning even more that social media, the internet's not going to go away, and your best bet is to establish some hardcore rules on what is completely inappropriate with your property. I covered this with the PewDiePie video. I think PewDiePie is going to get away with being that obscene on camera because there was no rules against it. So set up some rules, Nintendo, what's not appropriate, what you do and don't accept, and then let people go and create videos and talk about your products. Even if they earn a little extra money, you'll get a lot more from it. You're not a greedy Nintendo company there, Nintendo. I know you're not. You know, like I said, you've never screwed the consumers outside of this whole copyright bullshit, and you have never screwed your employees. I have never heard a single bad thing about the way you treat your employees, Nintendo. You just gotta figure out that this is 2017 and not 1990. Once you figure that out, I'm pretty sure you will be a big force to reckon with. But until you figure that out, until you figure out your consumer, what they need, how they use your IP, you're going to keep on making successes, you know, hits and miss, and when you get a hit, you're going to grow real big, get real popular, until you piss people off again, and this is just one of the ways you're going to piss people off. Anyways, thank you for listening to this rambling rant. This is Tommy the Game Master. I'm going to sign out here. Bye!